Now we move on to our final part for the day. This is going to be a couple of our own students who are going to be speaking about the work that they've been doing. First of all, we're going to have Sunil Kumar Uppala, who is doing his PhD under Professor Prasanna, who's going to be speaking on the topic optimization of energy management and smart grid.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you once again. So on this RMIT conference, thanks for the organizers for giving me the opportunity. So today I'm going to talk about the optimization of energy management in smart grid. So I'm working with Professor Prasanna. So basically we have different PhD students working with core is the optimization module. So which we have software is building from couple of years. So we have different application domains in this. So my area is in the smart grid. So earlier speaker talked about so much of mathematical funda. So doing the end, let's talk about some application. I will also touch upon some of the what kind of mathematical optimization models I'm trying to use in my work. So this is the outline of the talk. So I will just briefly introduce what my problem area is for 2-3 minutes. So because I have 20 minutes only, rest of the time I try to concentrate more on what are different techniques I'm trying to use. So you can comment or give your suggestions as well to improve further. Then I will talk about the brief architecture of what is the smart energy management in this space. Then mathematical modeling, some implementation results in this space. So some of you might have heard the name smart grid. So it is a very big domain as such. So everybody knows what the power grid is, right, from generation, transmission and distribution. So what power grid we are talking about is what the ICT, information and communication technologies, can change to the world of power grid. So even there there are different entities if you see in the smart grid, right, from generation, transmission, distribution, utilities, consumers. And it is coming up with some kind of new features which were not there for a couple of generations. For example, if you see the two-way communication, till now we are habituated only for a one-way communication. The utility is going to supply to us and we are going to pay end of the month the bill, whether it's the industrial consumer or residential consumer or commercial. But that way it is going to change, and this is being an opportunity for us to be a prosumers. We are using the term prosumers, is the producers and consumers. Then the customer participation is going to be more realistic. That's going to give a lot of problems for us, how we are going to solve using the optimization techniques. Then there is a role for the renewable energy, storage, then operational efficiency, etc. So there I'm going to concentrate more on the utility and consumer, two entities in this space of the smart grid. And what I'm defining as a smart energy, these are terms I'm using and going forward, like energy management and the demand response. So energy management is the process of monitoring, controlling and conserving energy. It can be in a I started with a building area, it extended till the city or area level. Then demand response, if you heard of the name, so it is more like how the customers can respond when there is a change in the price, or maybe when there is a utility request to voluntary shutdown. This kind of a participation from the consumers, it can be of different types, so which we will talk briefly. So if you see these pictures, so the first picture is a existing power grid with some control center, then generation, transmission and distribution. What changed here is we are going to the ICT components which you can think of, wireless communication, then some kind of smart appliances in picture as well. So I haven't given much on the literature survey, but I just want to give the glimpse. What are the gaps which identified from the literature which we are trying to address? So some of them are matching demand with the supply. It's like a well-known problem. Even in the power grid as well, it's a well-known problem. And another thing is, there are some people who are solving the problem at the grid level or at the substation level, at a higher level. We are talking about two different worlds. One at the grid level as a utility. Suppose take example of a Bangalore, like a Bescom is a power supplier. They have their own constraints, their own optimization techniques. At the same time, being individual consumers of all of you, your own priorities will be different at an appliance level. So I'm trying to see both the entities and how can both of them cooperate and see the benefits of each other. That's where the problem is. Then second thing is demand response programs. These are not very new, like which we are inventing or discovering kind of stuff. They are existing programs, but we identified some gaps as if they are not very interactive with the consumers. The success rate can be much more. So how can we improve that? Another thing is the price. The price as of now in most of the places it is whether slab based or flat kind of pricing. But now we are going to a trend of real time pricing. So based on the time, also the price is going to differ. So there are different techniques, whether time of use pricing, critical peak pricing, but the funda there is, apart from the how much ever units you consume, it depends also on the time while preparing the bill. Second thing is the consumer, as I told you, he has more role to play in this, and flattening the demand curve. So if you see any of the consumer, whether it is a residential consumer or commercial consumer, is not going to be flat. So there's going to be the curve going to be oscillating. So how can we balance that with these programs as well? And in this space, what we identified is there are no near real-time algorithms, and where we've identified that as a gap and trying to fill that. And while formulating this problem, as I told you, from utility to the consumer, if I try to add all the constraints which I can think of, the problem is going to become non-convex, which I can't able to solve it. So the main techniques what we are talking is, let's try to add as much as possible and then see the tractability of the problem. So where we need to get a response, if not in milliseconds, at least in few seconds or minutes. And as I told you, it's a multi-objective problem which we are trying to put the Pareto optimal between utility and consumer, which we are calling it as energy comfort trade-off. So then the contributions in terms of what we have till now is, we are trying to represent till the appliance level. You can think of a AC or projector or any appliance at the high energy consuming appliance. We try to, in principle, each and every appliance can be separately controlled, and we try to extend the scalability of it to initially to thousands, then now we are able to see up to lakhs. So we are aiming to see millions of consumers as well. Then propose a fair demand response. So there is we calling it as a fair demand response with a little modification of the existing demand response programs with a pricing model, which I will talk about. Then decoupled rolling horizon approach, because I am talking about two entities, so the problem is going to be at both the ends. So how can they solve at each time? I will explain further on that. And as I already talked about, tractability is also important, and our problem is ending up into a MILP formulation, and we are using some quantification techniques as well. So this is, if the picture, if you can see, so what we are talking about, the upper side is more like consumer. So I just represent it as a home, but it can be a campus like IIIT, or it can be commercial building and stuff. So there the meter is going to communicate with the outside world. Let's say utility is a consumption point. The smart energy manager is going to sit, which is our module, piece of module, optimization module, is going to sit both at the consumer premises and at the utility. So, and both of them are going to, we are going to send feedback of one to the other. So first one, if you are talking about consumers, so there the aim is, okay, what are the constraints we can think of? So what are the different what are the different job requests you have, appliances, day to day and all, you can feed it up. And then what is not in our control as a consumer is the price. But I have some historical data to guess the price from it. So we will try to guess the real-time pricing and try to formulate the problem in the best possible way, so that we can get the minimum energy bill, at the same time not constrained much on the comfort. For example, initially they told, if I don't want to pay the bill, just don't consume anything. That's the simplest minimization problem, but that's not going to help us with the constraint. There are some constraints which you need to force to use it. So let's try to see that. Then second thing here is, here the demand is not in their control, but control, if they force shutdown, that is a different thing. But otherwise, the utility can play the role with changing the price, but demands are there coming from the consumers. So this I will talk about. Then we already talked about system scope varies from building to there are thousands to millions of variables based on whether you are solving the problem at a building or a city or area. The nature of problem is mixed integer problem and linear programming problem. We trying to use different solvers. As of now, we use the Cplex solver and try to use lakhs of consumers, and response time varies from few seconds to minutes. So before I jump into the flow of optimization process, what I'm doing, so we have some techniques or some small techniques which we used. I just briefly talk about in the next 2-3 slides, then I will directly go to the optimization process. So here, general appliance constraints. Suppose I will just give you the example before explaining this. So for example, this. So I'm talking about, let's say, electrical vehicle, and then dryer and washing machine. It can be any of the appliances. So if I know what is the validity of it, so validity means these are the valid combinations, some of them are not valid combination. It can be as generic as possible in a truth table. So how can I convert this into a mathematical equations? That is one of the first contribution there. So what we are talking about is, you can convert that valid combination to a sum of products form. Then we can minimize using the techniques to get the SOP form. After that, we are using a big M notation. That's where I am talking in this algorithm. So where ZQ and 1 minus ZQ is whether it is a direct or complement, like A dash or A. Then what this first equation is going to tell us is, how much is the valid combinations which are greater than this big M. BM is a big M method. This YR is a variable, binary variable, which is just going to help us to see at least one constraint holds good for that. For example, if you see here, the minimized form is A dash plus B dash. So A dash is a complement form. So I am representing that as a 1 minus Z1. B dash as 1 minus Z2. Then M is actually 1 only in each of the product, this sum form. So minus 1000, I just taken an example, it can be any big M number. And Y1 plus Y2 as a binary variable less than or equal to 1. That means it will make sure that at least one constraints will hold good there. Second thing which we thought is, as a technique, is use of hierarchy. If I try to solve all the consumers which I am talking about as an individual preference, I can construct a simple MILP formulation which will go to millions of variables. But I've been talking about, let's say we are around 20 people, so each of them have your own preferences at an appliance level. So I can formulate a big LP problem. But that's not going to solve, is not a scalable model we feel at the control side to the consumer side. So then we come up with another model where from the control center, maybe like a BESCOM kind of a scenario in Bangalore. So for example, here we are splitting that objective function into area level, campus level and building level. If you see from bottom up, as an individual consumers, your preferences, your home area networking level at a level. So we are formulating the objective function with the constraints, solving that and giving the aggregate to the one level above, campus, similarly to the one level area. I can solve, for example, in an apartment complex if you think of. So individual consumers, they have their own constraints. After that, they have some shared facilities, maybe shared DC facilities, maybe shared renewable energy facilities. That all can add up here at the campus level. So here is a minimization problem in a hierarchical way, and here it is a maximization problem at a utility side. So if you see the outline of this, I have so many constraints in place. So for example, at a consumer level, I want to minimize the energy bill, keeping the constraints like energy constraints, comfort constraints, demand constraints, utilization constraints. At the utility level, they want to serve the purpose of their giving the energy. At the same time, they need to maximize their profit or social welfare, which you call in the literature. They also need to have their constraints like emission constraints, then real-time pricing level constraint, then uncertainty of the constraints. So these are the different constraints which you can apply to both the players. This may be giving you a little more clarity on what I am talking about. So think of two entities what we are talking, consumer and utility. For a consumer in the beginning, so what are the different parameters which I can have to solve my optimization problem of minimizing the bill. So one is get the parameters of the job requests from the different appliances. Along with that, so with the advances in the sensor networks or of smart appliances, you can get the real-time information from the appliances. That can be there. And we have so much of historical data in terms of price to guess. So that will be, you can use different mathematical techniques like ARIMA model or weighting moving average model, so that information will be there. So what we are formulating here is take a day and divide into, let's say, hourly slots or maybe 15-minute slots. It is up to you, number of slots. So first time, suppose if now right now let's say it's 4 o'clock. So till now, if you are considering the whole day, till 4 o'clock I know what is already consumed and what is that price is already announced at. But I don't have much idea from 4 to 12 what is going to be the date, exact price, or what is maybe I have some, I know what my demand is, but I don't know what my price will be from the utility. So based on the historical data, I can predict that information and try to see which time slot I can use it. There different techniques are there. We followed one benchmark approach. I will just show you next couple of slides. Using that formulation of the benchmark model of the uncertainty, we formulate the constraints and formulated as a MILP problem, then solve the constraints using a solver like Cplex. That output will be as if, okay, how much will be in this particular time slot my energy consumption, and going forward in the next time slot, consequent time slots will be. That data we are giving it to the utility. Utility has its own constraints from the how much is energy available, how much is the market energy, market clearing price, all that data. This data will be add on to that so that they have clear understanding of how much is the demands for the next future time slot from the consumers. So that they can have, based on their other constraints, adding this constraint as well, what can be the best price for the consumer they can offer. That information will be giving feedback. So it's going to be a rolling horizon approach for both of them. Coming to the mathematical part of it, so here the first part of the consumer is minimizing the bill. As I told, minimizing bill is just simply how many units you consumed and what is the price. But I split it into two components. One for the whatever is, as I told you, now 4 o'clock. Before 4 o'clock, I have the clarity of what is the exact energy, how much I consumed. That is the first part. Second part, that E is energy, pi for the price. So that I using that notation tilde because I need to predict that. So both the prices will be I am predicting from the historical data, that energy whatever I am going to consume in the next future time slots. So and again that ET in the subsequent equations also, the linkage will be I am splitting that job. For example, take if it is a small job of 5-10 minutes, it doesn't matter much, so you can solve it. But if it is like a washing machine or EV as a high energy being appliances, consuming appliances for spreading for a couple of hours, you can still split it. For example, 5 hours is the requirement for the EV to charge. So that XTA is for a particular time slot. The T, if it is 1 hour, that means it requires for 5 slots. So the optimization here can be as in the next slides, I will just show you that. Here, so the starting time, ending time. For example, that EV charging, I am fine. I just now, let's say, came from office, and tomorrow morning I require that EV. So I have the time window of roughly 10 to 15 hours. But the time for the charging is 5 hours. So I will give that start time and end time to this and leave it to the optimization. When is the best slot for it to charge it? So that's where this MILP can take the role of the controlling or giving the which time slot to work for that particular appliance. Then I have one more here, maximizing profit from the point of view utility. So there are some consumption, what is the supply side kind of stuff. Apart from that, there is a one which they are getting from the bill from the different consumers. Here also I split it into two parts. One for what is already the demand being consumed and with the price, and second is the demand which is going to be consumed by the consumers with the predicted price. So then the comfort level. So I can, one way of looking is I can keep on postponing the request till the midnight or whenever the price is low. But I have another constraint. Okay, there is an end time to meet it. So that will enforce the model to execute some some requests of the appliances within time. The comfort level here are the waiting time factor that W is going to take care. So which one to give priority? For example, if I have limited energy slot, so I have so many requests to come, so I need to decide, the algorithm needs to give priority to one. So that's where this waiting time is getting the playing the role of the priority. So whichever is weighted most is going to be executed in the next time slot if there is a competition. It's just the notation, I'm just skipping that. So apart from these constraints, there are well-known constraints of demand, how many ever appliances I can consume. For example, the institute also will have, let's say, 5 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt kind of a limit will be there. But then utilization limit, I can't switch on all at a time, and there will be appliances, power limits also will be playing into role. Then emission constraints which are going to be coming up. It's not, it's a little new, but it's going to come up in terms of, suppose as a campus like IIIT or Infosys, if you see about, so if they have a choice to give, they need to have their own sustainability reports to maintain, where they can't use DZ as much as possible, so they can use these as well. So the price here is a new thing where I am talking, there is already time-based pricing. Apart from that, we are talking about appliance category and category. C for category, you know, there is already differential pricing for customers of residential consumers and then commercial consumers. But here, apart from time-based and this customer-based, we are talking about another variant of appliance category. That appliance category is going to apply for, so this is going to be a pricing category for both appliance and appliance category. Then yeah, we came to this point. I just talked about the price when I choosing while doing the uncertainty min-max constraints. We are following an approach of the burst mass. What this approach is, let's say I have a price of 5 rupees in Indian context. So based on this approach, if you see the notation of this, it can vary between, for example, it can vary from, it can't be 0, it can't be free energies. Let's say from 1 to 9 or 1 to 10 is the range. The mean value is 5, which is the regular price. So the pi bar is going to be the mean value. And what the burst mass model is of the robust optimization tells us, the price is going to vary between the symmetrical way with the mean. So that's where this pi cap is going to come into picture. For example, it can be between 3 to 7. That means mean is 5 and a pi bar is 2. That is going to vary with that. And another important point, or why we chosen this option, is there is a robustness parameter, that gamma, which we can vary. So that depends on how pessimistic or optimistic your approach can be. So if I give an analogy of this robustness parameter, if I am more pessimistic, or if I don't want to consider any deviation at all, exactly if I know the price is going to vary between just 6 to 7 with the mean of 5, then I am more optimistic that the solution is going to be between 6 to 7, but in practice it may vary between 3 to 10 also. So that parameter, based on that, if you can vary, we will get more results as well. And another important point to get this, use this formulation is, if you see if you apply the Strang duality, the dual variables, this is nicely converging it into an LP problem. So we can directly fit into our model and use that. So here another feature which we used is substitutive and complementary kind of constraints. Take any of the appliances, for example AC and fan. it can be complementary to each other. So those kind of constraints are derived from the macroeconomic behavior. So we are formulating those constraints well into the place. This is a more general formulation of the best mass model. So if I know what are the purpose of those appliances, I can put this kind of constraints, which will give very accurate results. This is another interesting point. If you want to visualize what is the scale of the problem, I'm just taking of 1,000 consumers in 3 segments with having each 10 appliances, is a reasonable scenario. And if you see, and then that itself with the different formulations which I'm talking about, demand constraints, applying the min-max formulation, is coming it to million variable problem. So when you can imagine the scalability of how it is going if I talking about lakhs of consumers. So this is one screenshot from our, as I told in the beginning itself, we have an optimization software as a model which we are applying to different domains. While applying for this domain is more like power supply or utility area. These are all configurable in the system. Then we are giving as an XML as an input for each of the stages, so that you can see one example scenario here. So in the first one, this is more like one is a minimization, another is a maximization. If you can recall the flowchart what I talked about. So I am formulating the problem at each variable. This is for a particular time slot. For example, the time slot t equal to 1. The highlighted one is the 2.99 is the price which the utility is giving at the first time slot. After that, I am solving and aggregating for, if you can see here, aggregating for different consumers and giving that aggregated data at the second level to the utility, that is 20 as the demand. So then again the utility is going to maximize this problem and then give out at the next time slot what is the price. So it's go hand in hand. So some of the results, say that is kind of one scenario which we have taken at the residential case, where different appliances with the requirement and how much of the duration. So if you see the plot, what is interesting from here is, so there is 2 aspects which I am trying to present here. One is x-axis is the time of the day, and y-axis is at the side is going to represent the energy consumption of a particular typical consumer, one with the model, one without the model. So without the model is what is happening is it is going to shift to the execution to the lowest possible price by still honoring the energy comfort. So that means the end time, within the end time we need to finish that. So that's where this is going to observe the 20% of the bill energy savings. And second one is the how the price is changing. That green line, you can see how the price is changing. Then impact of the demand response signal. There are different consumers we have taken without loss of the generality. All consumers may not participate in DR. So one type of consumers is going to participate. In that case, based on the fraction of consumers which we are participating in the x-axis, 20%, 30%, 40%, how much is the peak load being reduced? Peak load is the one which is in the peak hour, how much it can be reduced. We observe up to 5%, we can see if the more people participates. So another analysis which we have done here is, so I have another 2 slides just to close it up. So while solving at the solver to see, okay, if I have the uniform pricing in the model inbuilt, so how the system is, I'm expecting as a differential pricing, but how the system is behaving with the uniform pricing with the bounds. So there is no bias on any particular time slot. There is not much difference, which if there is no difference in the pricing. Then if it is continuously oscillating the price, so how it is going to affect the solution. So, but in all the cases with the zero uncertainty, the gamma parameter I told you, I can have 50% of uncertainty in place, or 0% or 100%. In all the cases, we observed the system, the solution which is coming from the solver is stable and expecting to reach to the what we see in general. So we observed up to thousands of iterations which we see, and the typical times, if I can share, it's a few hundreds of seconds also it is going if it is a large scale problem, and then in the hierarchical model it is coming down. So just to conclude this, so we are talking about modeling of the energy management as a price setting demand response with hand in hand both the utility and consumer. Then energy saving, bill savings and DR are presented. So, and another approaches which we are doing is use of hierarchy for the large scale. Then we come up with some kind of a heuristic also to compare, okay, if I am not going for MLP approach, so how can the heuristic can play the role for the large scale. Then generalize a robust optimization model apart from the best mass model which I talked about. Then adding the renewable energies, because renewable energies if I am adding, and the next step is non-linear constraint to add, the whole MILP problem will going to be non-convex. So then what more convexification techniques I can use to solve the problem in real time. That's the next challenge we have. Here are some of the references.